Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tackling Sport podcast. It's me, your host, Sean Hussey, joined on the line by my brother, Daniel, first of all.
How's it going?
And delighted to welcome West Brom defender in the Premier League and now Irish men's international, Dara O'Shea. Dara, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, lads.
How are you getting on?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Well, it's been a hectic last couple of months, I suppose, since the project restart and the championship coming back and getting promoted to the Premier League. What's that last 4 or 5 months been like? And considering where we were in April and May, we weren't sure if we are going to get any football in this year at all.
Yeah, it's been a bit hectic, obviously, from going from being in lockdown and doing nothing to the season starting back. And then, obviously, a lot of games in a short period of time to finish the season off and get promoted. And then, obviously, pre-season coming a week or two after finishing the season. It's been a bit mad, really, and it's been non-stop since.
You spoke there about the promotion, and it was almost at times that with what happened with Leeds and West Brom, I wasn't sure who was going to get promoted in the end, but I'd say you must have been delighted once you did get over the line.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a major relief for us as well. Obviously, having been up and around the top of the league the whole season to come towards the end where lockdown started again and things were getting a lot tighter than they had been before, and obviously results went our way in the end. And yeah, it was a big relief, but obviously it was just great, I suppose. Obviously, having put all the work in throughout the season, all them games, and to be there at the end of the season was the main thing. And obviously, to get promoted to the Premier League was our ambition from the start. So it just made all the hard work pay off.
And considering that it was towards the end of lockdown, you were starting to break into that with West Brom side. I think you had a couple of performances in the cup. Was it almost that cruel time around lockdown where you thought, "Oh, here we go. It could happen for me." But then once you did get back, Slaven Bilic seemed to play you in every position.
Yeah, obviously I broke through after in the new year, and I played in the cup games, and I think that's where I kind of made a claim for myself, and I started playing in the league, and then obviously everything came to a standstill, and I suppose I knew myself that it was going to start back up. So during lockdown here, like the off season, every day I was out doing my work, just making sure I was ready, and then obviously the time came where the season started up again, and I think I felt the fittest I'd ever felt before, really. From in lockdown, just focusing on myself, getting myself as fit as possible, and then the season started again, and I was ready to go.
And those performances at the end of the season for West Brom and the start of the Premier League season this year earned you your first couple of caps for Ireland. What was that like when Stephen Kenny gave you the call, because you had been playing and you'd been a standout player for the under-21s under him?
Yeah, having previously worked with him, obviously I knew what he was all about, but obviously every kid in Ireland's dream is to hopefully play for their country at a senior level, and to get that call up the first time. Obviously I was called in late, I think, the first time, and even that was amazing, flying over and meeting up with the lads and training, and just getting a feel for it was unbelievable. And obviously shortly after that, being called up again and to make my debut was just a dream come true.
And you spoke there about your debut. How difficult has it been, especially with COVID and all the added complications, but making that step up from 21s to senior level? Like you said, Keith Andrews and Stephen Kenny, you were with them for the 21s, but how difficult with this year has it been making that step up, and with the current form maybe of the men's team?
Yeah, obviously having previously worked with the gaffer at 21s and a lot of the backroom staff, it made it that slight bit easier stepping in. I wasn't really stepping into the unknown. I kind of knew what the gaffer wanted from me. I knew how things worked, and they were quite similar to what they were at 21s level. But then again, you're stepping into a group where there's many faces that I know to see, but I don't really know that well. So you're kind of making your way in and kind of getting a feel for things.
You spoke there, and then what? Like you kind of touched on it there. What is that moment like when you're standing for a Ron Levine, and it's almost dawning on you that your 20 years, your 21 years, your last couple of months are built up to this moment of representing Ireland.
Yeah, I'll never forget that moment in Finland, standing there singing the national anthem, even walking out. It was just I was just filled with pride. Like that's what really I've been dreaming of since I was a kid, was to walk out and sing the national anthem and have that green jersey on my back. Going to the games when I was younger. Obviously sitting in the stands singing the anthem, to now kind of being there, standing beside some of my idols, I suppose. Growing up, watched a lot of these players playing, and then to be there singing it, yeah, it was immensely proud for me and my family.
Absolutely, Darren. I thought you were immense in the second game as well, to be honest with you. Talking about a little bit about COVID, because a lot of listeners obviously would know you from Ireland, but also West Brom, and a lot of people obviously in Ireland follow the Premier League. I don't think we're kind of getting an insight really, or maybe I'm missing it in terms of what's it like for you guys, because obviously you're under massive pressure not to bring Corona into the camp, and it's been by and large successful in the Premier League. I know Newcastle recently, but what's it like outside of football? Like, are you able to go out at all for like walks or presume, but like you're not obviously locked up, but is it a case of being really careful where you're going and stuff?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. I think you got to have a bit of common sense in these times, and obviously us as footballers know that we can't afford to catch it, because you're out for 2 weeks potentially, and then there's a process of getting back fit then as well. But it's really just go home. You can go for the odd walk and that, but it's mainly preparing yourself for the next day of training. There's not much else we can do. Obviously, things aren't open here at the moment with lockdown. It's only just starting back up. So I think, yeah, just taking in common sense really, and obviously, like I said, just preparing for next day's training or the game.
And yeah, and obviously you've made the step up from the Championship. So what's that been like, maybe first of all with training? Have you noticed a step up in training from, say, Bilic in terms of what you guys are doing, or is it more or less the same and it's a case that you got to get up to that Premier League level?
Yeah, I think it's just a process. It's still the same. We just kind of got keep our quality like getting higher and improving. There's a lot more demand now in the Premier League for, we're playing against better opposition, coming against better players and different styles of play, which is a lot different to the Championship. The Championship is totally different. Like when I first stepped up and played my first game against Leicester in the Premier League, and just then I just saw the quality and the difference. The step up is massive, and I didn't really realise it would be that big. You're playing against attacking players that are world class now, and in the Championship, you play against one or two players who are really good in the team, but the whole squad, even the bench are unbelievable in the Premier League, and you kind of know you're in for it.
Wow, yeah, you mentioned like the step up, and you probably weren't not ready for it's the wrong word, but you were kind of almost surprised at how big a step up is it. Like, would it be a case like, say, I'm just thinking of the Everton game and how amazing those players were. Are you thinking of James Rodriguez going to bed, or how are you kind of approaching the game differently to maybe from the Championship?
Yeah, I don't really think I can look at it that way. I think I kind of just have to look at it as another game and as a task, and that's put in front of me. But I think you do realise after the game, like, wow, I've played against these players who, like you said, James Rodriguez against Everton. It's unbelievable, but it's a little incentive for myself as well, to kind of put myself up against these players, to see how I test out, and obviously to learn things and improve.
Yeah, absolutely, Sean. Just before you come in, just one more in terms of like your position, because I think some people can relate to this, like, for example, in their Sunday League team where you don't quite have a position, and it's hard to kind of, so you know, like you obviously grown up as a centre back, but you can play right back, left back, and I actually think you can do a job in the CDM for Ireland going forward. But like there's four positions straight away that people can associate that Dara O'Shea can play that position. Are you kind of at the moment just happy to play and then wherever the manager picks you? But going, like, is it tough sometimes where you're like, okay, I'm right back 1 week, left back the next week, then left wing back, which is obviously a different position as well?
Yeah, exactly. I suppose obviously growing up, I was predominantly a centre back. When I was really young and coming through, I played centre mid, so that's not too foreign to me as well. But as a young player, I just want to get on the pitch wherever possible. So wherever that may be, left back, right back, centre back, I'm just happy to play. But the way I look at it personally is, if I can play these positions and I can play them comfortably, I'm only going to improve as a player. Like, obviously adding these positions to my game, making me a lot more versatile, to give me a better chance of playing. Obviously, if we pick up injuries in a certain position, hopefully the gaffer has trusted me to put me in there, and know that I can do a solid job.
Dan spoke there about playing different positions, and you played right back for Ireland. Do you think your two loan spells you've had at lower league level has really kind of shaped that sort of, let me get on the pitch first and battle and work, and I can play anywhere?
Yeah, massively. I think since a young age, really, my mindset has been just to go out and get on with it and work hard. And you put the work in, you'll reap the rewards. And obviously having my 2 loan spells, obviously going to Hereford first and in the 7th tier of English football, and knowing myself that I don't want to be playing here forever and that I've got to get what I can out of it and move on and use it as a stepping stone. So I suppose, yeah, it does make me think that I just want to get out, work hard and just get on with it.
And then and sort of moving on, one of the reasons you played right back for Ireland was all the COVID complications that have happened in the camp. How unsettling is that? And like you said, you got called up late from the 21s, and how like different is it with internationals returning to Ireland and the travel involved? Like how big a sort of a nightmare is that?
Yeah, it's so different. I think international football now from club level because of the COVID, because you're going into a bubble and you're meeting up with players from different clubs, and you kind of have to make your own way there and travel, and everyone's coming from their own part. It makes it a lot harder, obviously, with the cases we had at Ireland. We've just been really unlucky, I think, and it suppose hasn't given us the best possible chance going into games, which has been, I suppose, a part of the results too. But it is very tough, and I suppose just the way of the world right now.
And you kind of spoken about how unlucky you've been. Also, for those who watch the Ireland England game, John Egan going down with concussion early on in the game. I just like it's almost like a dream that you're kind of sitting on the bench at Wembley watching this. And I suppose as a centre half coming off the bench, there's only a couple of ways you come on really, with an injury or maybe with 10 minutes to go, trying to keep hold of a lead. What is that like getting the call from Stephen Kenny to come on against England? Everyone knows how big a game it is at Wembley. What's that moment? Is it kind of pure dread, or is it excitement, or is it nerves?
Yeah, I remember I was pretty excited. I suppose I was warming up when John went down, and when I got the shirt, I was excited, put my jersey on, I was ready to go. But it happened so quickly, you don't really get time to think about it. You kind of have a look at your set plays, and you're on the pitch then, and you're ready, and you're playing, and then it's almost just like you started. So yeah, it's kind of hard to make your way into games after not starting. But when you get that call, you've just got to be as ready as possible.
Yeah, and obviously working under Stephen Kenny, I guess don't want to get into too bad of a situation, but a lot of Irish fans have been frustrated with the football being played by other managers over the last 3 years, and it does seem that there's a project. Are you pretty excited going forward to be working with Stephen Kenny, and give us a little bit of a taste of, you mentioned it already, but working with him with the under-21s, is he doing much of the training ground? Is it focused on the opponents a lot more? Because it did straight away I remember going to the Luxembourg game and watching you guys straight away. There seemed to be an Irish team that's willing to pass the ball out from the back for the first time in God knows how long.
Yeah, I think what the gaffer has brought in to Irish football is only going to benefit us going forward. I think it's a process. I think it's very hard to come in and implement your ways, having played a totally different style of football, to now come and play this expansive, expressive football. And it will take time, but obviously having worked with him at 21s, and I think we kind of had more time at 21s than he's had at senior level. We kind of meet up with the seniors and we play a game in 3 days, whereas the 21s, I think we had a period where we had a week with him before, and he was kind of implementing his ways in. And obviously a lot of the lads have kind of grown up playing more expansive football, and they were kind of used to that. So obviously it's hard for him trying to implement his ways into the senior squad, and obviously having the lads played a different style before. But I really do think that it will benefit this country going forward. And like I said, it's just a process. These things don't happen like with a click of the finger. And yeah, on the pitch, he's been good. We focus on ourselves. You can really, like, I think if you speak to any of the lads, you can really tell what sort of football he's trying to bring in, and it's all positive, which is really good.
You mentioned there about the lads, like there's been a lot of rubbish being spoken in the media about videos and what's been done, but do you get a sense from the players that they are 100% behind Stephen Kenny and his staff, and that everyone is brought into this idea of trying to build for a major tournament?
Yeah, I do. I feel like the lads think it's great. Obviously they want to be playing football, they want to be playing nice football, and since he's come in, I think they have bought into it. It is just a process, and obviously there's been things said in the media, this, that, the other, but I really do feel he has the backing of the players.
Well, that's interesting on Stephen Kenny, and I think the fact that you've represented him under 21s as well speaks volume. And maybe moving on, like you said, to the Premier League with West Brom this year. Like, everyone knows how difficult it is to sustain and stay up in the Premier League, but there's been some bright sparks this year for West Brom. Some really good performance, even in recent weeks. You think how unlucky they were against Manchester United. Do you get a sense that there's more and more confidence coming into this West Brom side?
Yeah, I think we've been really unlucky this season. But obviously the season's going for us, and we've kind of been there, obviously in the lead against Chelsea, and they've come back and they've leveled it out. But I do feel like it is positive going forward. Obviously picking up our first win the weekend there, looking to build on it now on Sunday against Palace. But I think things are looking good, and I think the results will come.
And yeah, just going back to maybe Sam Bilic and some of his tactics, because sometimes you guys switch from a back five to a back four. Like, just give me a typical week, say leading up to Crystal Palace game. You obviously don't need to reveal this week's tactics, but to say like previous weeks, are you like straight away Bilic decides on the Monday, save a free week, we're playing a back five here on Saturday, this is how we're going to line up, this is the team? Or is it a case of he's working on the formation and maybe it's up to the players then to see who's the best? Do you know what I mean? Like, cause how does the week build up where you're all constantly working on the back five, or are you working on other things as well?
Yeah, so normally with a normal game week, with a game on Saturday, Monday and Tuesday are more trying to get work into our legs, just getting us back on the pitch, and then obviously we have Wednesday off, and then Thursday we'll be back in, and that's when the tactics start, and that's when the formation is kind of put out, and that's when he implements his views and what he wants us to go and do, and then obviously Friday is when the team will be picked, and again more tactics and just getting the last feel for it.
Yeah, and to say like, would there be much video analysis done on the opposition then in terms of here's where we need to stop them, or is he more of a kind of this is how we're playing type of manager?
No, definitely, he's very. We do a lot of tactical stuff before games. We have numbers meetings, we have set play meetings, and then we have meetings about the opposition and where we can attack them, and obviously where they're good going forward too.
Absolutely. And then is it a case, does he ever look at the bigger picture in terms of, okay, we need this amount of points in this amount of games? You know, when you hear sometimes a lot of nonsense, sometimes on Sky going, oh, if we get to the 40-point mark, this is how we're going to do it kind of thing. Is it a case of, is it literally just game by game at that kind of level in the Premier League? I guess you can't afford to look ahead at all.
Yeah, as cliche as it is, it's literally game by game. You don't really want to look too far ahead, and I think as players we don't do that either. You can't get caught up what's happening in 2 weeks' time. You've got a task ahead of you, which is the weekend, and I suppose that's your next battle, and that's what you got to have to do and go win.
There's also a lot being said about, because of the nature of the 2020-21 season, with the lack of pre-season, there's been a lot of injuries, there's a lot of call for 5 subs, whatever. But has there been a real emphasis put on recovery this year? Because I know in the Championship you play 8 more games in a season, so you're West Brom are used to that. But there seems to be across the league, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on injuries and muscle injuries. Is recovery a huge issue now?
Yeah, recovery is massive. Obviously in the Championship it's a lot more physically demanding with more games and going Saturday to Tuesday back to back. But still in the Premier League you need to recover. Obviously, like you said, not having a lot of time off and then going straight back into pre-season, the season starting up again, recovery is massive, and obviously you're trying to recover as quick as possible, giving yourself the best chance going into the next week.
And sort of with Ireland and the different positions at times with West Brom, you've been left out of the squad and left in. With Slaven, is it kind of he's telling you why you've been left out, or is he just kind of gone with another way this week, and then you're still very much there in his eyes?
Yeah, it's more just going with a different way. I think he kind of just goes about his business, and you kind of have to prove to him why he should be in the team, and that's just how it is. Obviously, when a team's doing well, you don't normally tend to change it, and that's just football.
How important are those senior players in your squad, the likes of Kyle Bartley, Branislav Ivanovic, like that title winning experience? How important is that, and does it give the whole squad a lift?
Yeah, massive. You need players who are vocal and who've been through it and play at the highest level. Obviously, Branislav's won the Champions League for Chelsea and stuff like that. So it's amazing having players like that. As a young player, I'm kind of like a sponge, just willing to soak up whatever knowledge is being spitted out, and having them players there, they're good to have in training, because obviously the managers and coaches are there, but on the pitch as well, you need a player who has that experience and is willing to to help the team along.
Just to touch on your Irish teammate Callum Robinson, who's been playing up top for West Brom this year. What has he kind of given you at the top of the pitch? Because at times you've played Callum Grant, and Callum Grant in recent weeks has come on, but just on Callum Robinson and going forward, I think a lot of people, and he's been unlucky with COVID and injuries for Stephen Kenny, but do you think he can really do a job for Ireland as well going forward?
Definitely. Callum's just got so much energy, and he's willing to run, and he's willing to work hard as well. And obviously he's a great player too, and he's definitely someone for Ireland who we really have to use and utilize to the best as possible, because I mean, I see him day in, day out in training, and know his qualities he has, and he's a great lad too, and he's definitely something that as a nation we've got to look forward to and be excited by.
You're speaking a lot there, and it's great. It's like you're obviously in the Premier League bubble at the moment, but you must it's hard to pinch yourself sometimes, but I guess you must pinch yourself when you've, grown up playing for Templeogue and St. Jude's as well, for the Gal fans listening that weren't aware. Did you ever kind of think, and even only a couple of years ago, you were in the 7th tier, like you mentioned, it's almost happening so fast, and yet you're kind of playing so well, and it almost seems like the more higher you go and the bigger the game, the bigger you just keep stepping up to the plate. Like,
yeah, it's been amazing, really. It's obviously I've never really looked too far ahead as such, and I suppose I think that might be a reason to where I am now. I've kind of just looked at the task at hand and thought. So obviously, when I went on loan to Hereford, I've thought, right, this is my I suppose my battle. I need to conquer this and move on to the next one, and stepping stones. And obviously, I've reached the Premier League now, but there's still a lot more to be done. I still want to do a lot more now, and I'm very ambitious, and obviously playing for my country and stuff like that. But yeah, when I was younger, I've just always really been like that, even with Gaelic and hurling, like you said, growing up. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned like stepping stones, and you still have ambitions. Would you like set goals for yourself at all? Or I know you take it game by game, but would you ever sit down and say long-term goals in 5 years' time, I want to have this achieved, or how do you work it? How do you work that out?
Yeah, I don't really sit down and say, but in the back of my mind, I have what I want to do, what I want to achieve, and obviously, I think a lot of the time they're more short term and trying to get to a step and then move on again. But yeah, I know myself. I want to be the best player I can be, so I'm just going to work as hard as possible, and hopefully the rewards will come.
A few people have said West Brom's gain is Dublin's loss, because your performances for St. Jude's before you moved over, and I think you won an under-16 county championship. How big was GA in your life, and was, there's a lot of talk now, and there's a FAI player path where they don't want kids playing two sports. Would you look back on, a huge reason for my success was the fact I played two sports at a very high level?
Yeah, I don't believe that you should be devoted to one sport when you're younger. I think when you're younger is when you got to go out and you've got to be acting. You got to do as much as you can. I think a huge part of how well I did, and obviously how fit I am, is I've played so many sports when I was younger. Like, I remember going from Gaelic matches to football and then to hurling the next day. It was constantly go, and I was trying to fit everything in. And I don't feel like that should ever stop young kids from doing that. I don't think they should devote themselves to football. I think there's a lot more out there. You can learn a lot from each sport and take them into each game. And
did that ever influence your decision making? Because I know you were involved with Dublin development squads, and did that ever, before you moved over to sign for West Brom, was there ever a thought of, maybe giving GA a crack? And I know it's the professional nature of football, you can carve a career out for yourself there, but was there ever, when you did move, was there ever a thought of maybe unfinished business with GA?
Yeah, definitely. At the time, I was obviously playing for the Dublin development squads, and that's when West Brom offered me a contract, and it was obviously a thought. But I think at the time I was so amazed with what I'd been offered at West Brom that I had to take it. But Gaelic's always been a love of mine. I still watch it, I still follow it, and it's something that I want to continue it in the future. Hopefully, when I retire from football, I can have a little crack at Gaelic. That's something that I've been very ambitious with, and look towards the future. But I don't know how that will work.
Yeah, as a member of Jers, who, well, I wouldn't say rivals with Jude's, but that's not what we want to hear at all, to be honest with you, that you may make a return eventually. Because we actually met before once at the All-Ireland final last year, and it was obviously one of the most incredible games, but I was almost devastated for you, and also our dad actually missed the replay for you. You were obviously playing a match What was that like in terms? Were you playing during the All Ireland final replay? Because it was amazing, obviously being on the hill for the first game.
Yeah. I ended up missing the first half of the replay, and then I got to watch the second half on the bus. But it's just not the same as being there on the hill and experiencing it, and being in Croker and having the day out. It's just not the same.
Yeah, like it's obviously a massive part. Would you still be keeping up to date with like it's obviously on Sky over in England, with the All Irelands this year? Like it's obviously incredible, Calvin Tipperary. Do you see much of it? I guess it's really hard because your main focus is obviously West Brom, but you obviously keep an eye on the things like the hurling last weekend.
Yeah, time off and downtime. I like to keep an eye on it, and obviously what Cavan and Tipperary have done is amazing, and it's great for the sport as well to see counties like that come through and have their runs, and obviously it's going to be exciting semi-finals now.
There's been a few stuff in the last week about Aussie rules players coming home and representing their county. You're ruling out a return for Dublin.
Yeah, just at the moment, maybe not yet.
You could do a Kevin Moran on it, but like you said, that is and I know John Egan naturally with his father, he's heavily involved with GA in Sheffield. Is that like, I know at West Brom there mightn't be like Callum Robinson, there might be too many Irish people. Is it hard do you ever find yourself explaining to them what GA is about, or when you're talking about your upbringing, when you're talking about GA?
Yeah, lots of the lads obviously know about it because I spoke to them about it, and they've asked me about, probably the main thing they've asked me about is why am I suppose not fearless when it comes to tackles and stuff like that, and obviously I say because of Gaelic and that, and explain to them, and they're amazed by it. Lots of them have seen it, but some of them haven't as well, and obviously the foreign lads haven't a clue about it, so it's nice to tell them, and they're surprised when they hear about it.
I guess just on that point, I say you go mad if someone just goes down. I don't know if you saw Rob Holding's clip. He was going mad about Adam Traore going down. I don't want to repeat the exact phrase he used, but I'd say you go mad sometimes, especially in the Premier League, when you're a little touch. I'd say you've got to be a little bit more cuter with your tackles and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously with VAR now, you can't do anything like that. But yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine of players going down and rolling around.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, if VAR, I know Carragher was on MNF saying your defenders should be trying to block more as opposed to tackle, but I guess it's just with VAR you can't get away with anything.
No.
Well, listen, Dara, you've been brilliant. We're going to run through a few quick fires. The first of all is the favorite ground you play at now. And I've kind of got two, and I'm sure first of all GA, your favorite ground when you played GA, and then maybe your favorite ground in football.
When I played GAA, I wouldn't really call it a ground now, but it's our pitch that we used to play on for St. Jude's in Tymon Park, and it was known as pitch 7, and that was our pitch where we had most of our success. So if I can say pitch 7, that's what I'll say.
And then your favorite ground, professional football?
Professional football, good one as well. I think one of the most recent ones was obviously Aviva. Having never played there before, I was obviously amazed when I walked down to the pitch, having been there as a fan, and to play there was pretty cool.
And then obviously being in Premier League, is there a toughest opponent that you'd already say was someone in the Premier League? Was that big a step up, or who has been your toughest opponent so far that you've come up against?
I'd say James Rodriguez. Yeah, just how smart he was with everything. He's a great player.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan. So when I knew you came up against him, I was like, it's going to be James. He's so good. You've been dubbed the Irish Cafu on Twitter. I don't know if this is going like just my experience of West Brom Twitter. It's Irish Cafu, and I just give it them the odd like. Are you happy enough with that nickname? I'd say you've been called that worse anyway. So.
Yeah, I've definitely been called a lot worse, and I mean I'll take that if that's what they want to call me. Yeah.
Next one, I'm going to go your favorite personal performance and the one that you probably gave you the most joy.
Was my performance against Millwall last year in the championship. It's when I scored my
header,
first goal the header for West Brom, and it was a stormy, horrible day. And I think as a team, as a collective, we played really well, and I thought I played well that day. And obviously to score my first goal was great.
A good ground to score that as well. You're the best teammate you've ever had. It could be from Exeter, Hereford, or Ireland, or even West Brom, obviously.
So is this teammates or players?
Teammates, so like you're probably your best friend almost, if you like.
I think at Exeter, some of the lads were great down there, and Pierce Sweeney was down there. He was Irish, and he was great with me down there, and I got on well with him.
And the best player then you played with? Best
player. As a defender, when I was growing up, obviously at West Brom, Johnny Evans was there, and he was amazing. And I really kind of idolised him as a player when I was coming through the youth team at West Brom.
Two more from me. I don't know any more from Sean. I know it's a tough one, but what's your favorite position? And just you can forget about West Brom for a minute. In a dream scenario, where do you feel is your best position out of the four?
I suppose I'll have to say centre back. Having played there for most of my career and now I'm not the best, I'll probably have to say there. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. And then last thing, what's the best advice you've ever received? So I say, because obviously you went to England very young, so like you've obviously kind of been really stuck at it. Like, so what's the best advice you got to kind of get through that sometimes?
Yeah, I think the best advice I've got is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and that's something that I've truly believed in. Obviously growing up and coming through St. Kevin's, that's something that they kind of instilled in me, and knowing that I wasn't the most talented player as a footballer when I was younger, but I worked hard and I kept at it, and I've eventually got to West Brom and to where I am now.
Yeah, it's a brilliant quote. Sean?
One final one for me. Your favourite Ireland-related memory growing up? So is it Robbie Brady's goal? Is it Shane Long's goal? Do you remember Robbie Keane's at the World Cup?
No, I wouldn't remember that now, but I remember Robbie Brady's. I was actually at the game.
Same.
Out there, and I remember being in the stands, and obviously when he scored, everyone was just falling down the stand, and it was amazing. I was there with my dad and my mate and his dad, and it was just, that was probably a pinch me moment watching that, thinking, wow, this is amazing and this is where I want to be.
That must be mad. Sorry, Sean. It must be mad you being there and then all of a sudden playing with those players now. That must be mad. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. Like, I remember when he scored that goal, and then to be in a squad with Robbie Brady and see him training with him and him to call my name was crazy the first time. Yeah.
It was the stadium, the roof was closed. It was about 30 degrees. The Irish fans had been in the sun
hot,
drinking all day. There was people passing out left, right and centre. I think a few of them woke up when Wales got the ball. But no, special memories. And Dara, here's hoping you can have your own memory for Ireland at a World Cup or a Euro as a major tournament. But listen, thanks for joining us on the show. You're always more than welcome back. And yeah, thanks for listening. If you first time listening, make sure to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Leave a review, and if you're listening on Apple, follow us and stay tuned. We have a show every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So listen, first of all, thanks, Dara, for joining us.
Thanks, lads. Been a pleasure.
Thanks, Dara.
Thanks for joining us. Like I said, Dan, thanks for joining me. And listen, we'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.